ready to rock with the all-new documentary series, I Wanna Rock.
Being a rock star is larger than life.
Hear the untold stories behind the explosion of 80s hair metal from those who lived it.
I called my parents and said, I'm not coming home.
Pants so tight you could tell I was circumcised. That's what you do.
And witness the unexpected end of an era.
And they just stopped playing. It really shook me to the core.
That was anything but glam.
I don't regret anything.
I Wanna Rock.
The 80s metal scene was a mixture of music, hairspray, spandex, and leather. In the new docuseries, I Wanna Rock, the 80s metal dream follows 5 bands, Skid Row, Winger, Twisted Sister, Vixen, and The Scream. And it's all about the challenges they faced and the success that they had.
Tyler Measom is the director and executive producer and joins us live this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me, everyone.
We appreciate you joining us here. So, every decade has its iconic styles and music, but something about 80s metal seems particularly bold. Tell us how this project started.
Well, I'd done a film a number of years ago about MTV called I Want My MTV, and we covered the era of hair metal just briefly in it, but we really weren't able to touch on what it was and how big it was during that era. And ostensibly, what's interesting about that genre of music is that in an instant, and literally within a week, once Nirvana came out and grunge exploded in 1992, an entire genre was basically wiped out. And so I always thought it was interesting what happens to these individuals who dedicate their lives trying to play music and become a rock star, and then for no reason of their own, it just is taken from them. And that is essentially what we cover in this 3-part series.
Why did that happen? I mean, you think that, 80s metal just gave way naturally to grunge, right? I mean, that was the progression of music. So you're saying it happened in a week?
I mean, it really, when Nirvana came out, it's really odd how quickly it did happen, how quickly radio stations stopped playing hair metal, how quickly record sales just plummeted, how quickly a lot of these artists were just literally dropped from their label.
Wow.
And a lot of people point to grunge, that it did that, and I do think that was a big part of it. But there's a lot of factors that really, hastened the death of hair metal, or the pausing of hair metal, if you will.
So you talked to you had a lot of great interviews. You had Kip Winger, you have Dee Snider. We've had Dee Snider on this show many times from Twisted Sister over the years. I always was fascinated by the fact that him writing a lot of his own music, I mean, he retired very well, and, Celine Dion recorded one of his songs, but how did the rest of the hair metal guys end up doing?
Some of them really struggled. There was a top tier that really got by, that 1%, the Poisons, the Motley Crues, the Twisted Sisters, even the Skid Rows. But there were a lot that really didn't make it. And a lot of them became, if you will, kind of a laughing stock. Kip Winger being one of them. He really became the poster child for how silly hair metal had gotten, and really had a hard time. It really took him and his career, blindsided him. Yeah. So a lot of them really struggled. I mean, Kip said he went from playing 12,000-seat arenas. 2 months later, he was playing for 12 people at a Borders bookstore.
Wow. So and what's interesting? You say that Van Halen was kind of one of the first ones. They were all kind of trying to be Van Halen, but Van Halen ended up surviving all of that. They weren't really metal, but they somehow kept going after grunge.
Yeah, Van Halen kind of preceded the hair metal era. Yeah. I would say they were very much the prototype for it. I wouldn't put them in the hair metal genre or category. And they deservedly should last. They're a phenomenal band. But then there are bands like Bon Jovi that actually were hair metal and kind of slipped that. And then there are bands like Guns N' Roses that came at the tail end of that hair metal era. And they were a little more dirty. They had, they didn't have as much makeup as, say, a Poison. They had the long hair and the dresses, not necessarily the dresses, the outlandish dress, but they were a little more grungy feeling than some of the more glam bands.
And the series also addresses different ways sexism affected women in the business.
I mean, there's no question that a lot of the music of that era was heavily misogynistic. Women were in music videos, scantily clad, in cages. Some of the lyrics were flat out ludicrous in their references to women. So there was heavy misogyny in that era, and I do think that's one of the things that killed that genre eventually. It just became a little tired and a little bit of a copy of itself.
So, and you also, it's interesting that, was it parental advisories on music started because of hair metal?
You know, I think it was a lot of things that, you know, even Cyndi Lauper was on what was called the Filthy 15, that was labeled as the stickers that they put on the bottom. I don't think that hurt the music industry. In fact, in many ways, it helped it. Record sales increased when you put a warning label on it. So it actually didn't do anything but appeal to the young buyers wanting to buy that kind of music.
Well, it's fascinating. I Want to Rock the 80s Metal Dream is streaming now on Paramount Plus, and you can find Tyler on the socials. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, guys.